Okay, so on your two pieces of 8.5 by 6.5 inch chipboard, to get the tag shapes, what we're gonna do is from the two sides, the two top sides, so on the 6.5 inch length, you're gonna measure in 1 inch from this side and 1 inch from this side, and then you're also gonna measure down 1 inch from the top and 1 inch from this top. And then all we need to do is just take a scissor, or you could use your paper trimmer, and cut across like this, and then cut across like this. And you'll need to do the same thing for both pieces of your front and back cover. Okay, so now to wrap this piece, you need a piece that measures a piece of your lightweight cardstock. So your 65 pound. That measures 8.5 by 11, and we're just going to glue this right to the center of it. As you can see, I thought I was recording the first time that I did this, and I wasn't, so I took this off. The joys of recording. So I am using my Fabri-Tac glue. You guys know I like to use that when I'm gluing chipboard to lightweight cardstock. I just find it doesn't show through to the other side, and that is super important to me. I like my covers to look really nice and crisp and clean, so very, very important to me. All right, so we've got that on there. So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna take our ruler or any straight edge, and you are going to butt it up kind of right at the edge of the tag shape here, just like this. And you're gonna take your pencil and draw a line down straight from your ruler, just like this, okay? And we're gonna do the same thing here, just butt it right up against where your tag shape begins there. And draw a line. And then here as well. I hope this wrapping technique makes sense to you guys. And then here as well, just like this, okay? So you're gonna have like these lines in your two corners. Then we're gonna take our scissor and we're gonna cut right along that line, right along those pencil lines. And we're not going to leave any room. We're going to go right to the chipboard with those lines. Usually we leave a little bit of excess, but we are not going to do that today. Right up to the chipboard. All right, and now we're going to, with this flap here, you can fold it back if you want first. Just like so. And now we're just going to angle cut the flap. Just like so. And then we are going to bring these pieces, our little corner pieces, up. And then you're going to assess it once you bring it up. So over here it's pretty much flush against the edge of my chipboard, but here, as you can see, it's hanging over a little bit. So I am just gonna snip a tiny bit off, just like that. So sometimes you might not have any hanging over, sometimes you might have some. All right, so that looks good now. And now we're going to fold this one over. So this one is, we need just a little adjustment on both sides here. So just cut a sliver off, not very much, because if you cut off too much, it's not going to completely cover your cardstock. And if you're doing your book with black paper and you're using black chipboard, it's not going to matter a whole lot, but because I am not using black, I am going to make sure that I cover all of my chipboard on these edges right here. So now I'm going to go ahead and just do a little angle cut on these corners here as well. Right up to there. And now let's go ahead and fold these 3 sides over. Just like so. And now we've created these like corners in here with the folding. So we're gonna go ahead and snip those out, but we are gonna leave about somewhere between the 1/8 and a 1/16 of an inch of space between our cardstock and our chipboard. Then you're gonna wanna do the same thing on the other side. So I just kind of like to snip up this side and then bring it over and snip up that side. But you don't want to leave too much space either. Okay, so now we are to this point. So what I'm going to do first is glue these 2 sides down here. So I'm going to use my art glitter glue, and I am going to put it all over these little flaps. I'm going to make sure to go right around the edge too, like right at the chipboard, because I want to make it a little bit wet right along there so it really molds to the top of my tag. And bring that down, and we can burnish it just like so, and then you can pick it up and burnish, and it just gives it a really nice square look. Add glue to this flap. You can use tape, but for like these kind of smaller flaps, I generally will just use the glue. So just bring it down here and give that a good burnish. And then again, we can just come up here, give it that nice square look. All right, now for these flaps, I am going to use tape. I'm going to bring this side up first. And just make sure there's no tape sticking out. And I am still going to do just a little bead of glue along here. All right, so that's both of our pieces of chipboard wrapped. So we did this one, but you're gonna wanna do it again on your other piece of chipboard. And now let's wrap our spine. So we are putting this book together a little bit differently, but that is okay. So this piece, again, remember, measures 2.5 by 3 7/8. And I am just going to grab my glue, my Fabri-Tac, and put it right in the center. Top to bottom, we're gonna center it. The sides are gonna have a 1/2 inch more space. All right, so the first thing we're gonna wanna do is fold over our top and our bottom. Make sure they're really nice and crisp. Just like so. And now we are going to take our glue and we're going to put it all over this little rectangle that we created just by folding it over. A good amount of glue, get right along that edge as well. And then you're gonna fold it over and burnish it. And as you're burnishing, try to get in here beside your chipboard so you get that like indentation. Like there, that indentation, we want that. And then just burnish the rest of the glue on. Same thing on the other side. All right, so now that we're to this step, you're gonna go ahead and fold in your sides and give them a good burnish, just like so. All right, so now what we're gonna do is from this corner to where our folded over piece ends, you're gonna snip, okay? So from that corner down, just like this, you're going to snip. And as I go around, I'm just gonna switch my directions, but I'm doing the same thing. Snip. Just like that, okay? So the next thing we need to do is add score tape to the outside of our spine. So this is the inside. You're gonna add the score tape to these two sections. And as you're adding it, you're gonna try to leave just a tiny bit of space here. So it's about less than 1/8 of an inch between where your tape starts and your spine starts there. So just and then you're gonna grab your front and back cover again. And basically what we're gonna do is this piece is going to get taped right here, and then once that's on, this one will get taped to this side, and that is going to form our book. So what I like to do is I like to just remove just the first piece of my tape, fold it back on itself, and lay it down right along this edge. We want these two pieces to be completely aligned, and we want this edge to be right along this edge. And then once you have that first piece of tape down, you can go ahead and reach under and remove the other two backings, and then just bring that down, and then we can burnish it, okay? All right, so that is how that should look, just like this. And now we'll do the other side. So again, we're just gonna remove one of the backings and lay this right on top of this evenly. Just like that. And then again, we can go under and remove the other two backings and burnish that down. All right, and then that is the basic shape of our super cute tag album. Oh my goodness, you guys, I am in love. Okay, so to cover the inside of our spine here, you're gonna need a piece of your cardstock. So this is the 65-pound weight that measures 7 1/4 inches tall by 5.5 wide. And I've already attached and removed all the backings from the score tape. So we're just gonna center it on here. So there's about 1.5 inches on both sides of the spine, and then center it into the spine, top and bottom. So there should be right about 1/8 of an inch top and bottom. So put it down just like this, and then I'm going to get my bone folder and we're going to burnish all over it. making sure it all gets nicely burnished down. And then make sure to get into your lines so you can lift it up and burnish those. And the same thing on the other side. All right, so that is secure as secure can be. And that finishes the inside of our album. Just bring it up, kind of wiggle it a bit, and then that's nicely finished. And you're going to need 4 base pages, okay? So to create our tag shape at the top, what you're going to need to do is on the side that has your 2 score lines, you're going to score at 1/2 inch and at 1 inch. So you have your little extended spine like we always do. And then you're going to mark from this edge in to here, you're going to mark at 2 inches, okay? So you're going to mark in at 2 inches on this side here. And then you're also going to mark in at 1 inch coming down from here. You're going to make a mark at 1 inch. And then you're going to make a mark. Basically, you can just make the mark on your second score line here and then connect those two. So you're going to mark down 1 inch, 1 inch, connect those two, okay? And then your 2 inch mark here. And then you're going to take your ruler and just line it up and do a pencil mark diagonally across there, okay? And then we're going to cut this entire section out in a second. So 2 inches in from this side, 1 inch down here, 1 inch down here, and then connect those 3 little tick marks, okay? And then for this side over here, all you're going to do is from this edge in, mark 1 inch, and then down from this edge, mark 1 inch. And then again, with your ruler and a pencil, just connect those lines, okay? Then we're just going to grab a scissor and we're going to cut across our pencil, just like this. You can also use a craft knife if you'd like. And do it with the metal ruler. And then just turn here and cut across there. And then you can turn it over and just kind of straighten out your cut a bit. This is where I would say the craft knife does a bit of a cleaner look, but it works either way. And then you're going to want to take an eraser and erase all your lines, just like so. All right, so that you have no lines showing. And remember, we're going to want to do this 4 times for our 4 base pages, okay? So every base page is going to have a pocket on the front and the back, and they're going to be the exact same size, okay? So our pocket measures 6.5 wide by 7.25 tall, and we're going to score at 1/2 inch on both sides, and along the bottom, we're going to score at 1/2 inch as well, okay? So in the scoreboard, you score 1/2 inch, and then you can turn it and score 1/2 inch, and turn it and score 1/2 inch, and I think that's probably the easiest way to do it. And then we're just going to cut these corners out, just like so, on both sides. Okay, and then when you're done that, you can go ahead and burnish these really nicely. Just like so. And then what I like to do with mine is I like to just leave these flaps open. You can use tape. I'm going to use glue. I've become a glue girl lately. And put some glue on your little bottom flap here. And then you're going to place it directly across the bottom here. So you can leave your flaps open and just place it right along the bottom. Line it up and make sure it goes all the way to the bottom. And you're going to center it in here as well. Make sure you don't go over this score line here. And then we can open it up and give that a good burnish. And then we will burnish these one more time. And remember, we are using 110 pound cardstock for this. I think you could get away with 80 pound, but nothing less, I don't think anyways. And just get your glue all over here. And this is just my art glitter glue in the little fine line bottle. And then just bring that up. Just like so. And get your score, your bone folder. And just burnish that down. Okay, so all 4 of our base pages are going to have the same size pocket on the front and the back. Okay, so now we have the pocket attached to both sides of our base page. So you are going to want to create 3 more of these base pages, so you have a total of 4, okay? Okay guys, so we are going to have 4 different page styles in our book, okay? So before we start talking about that, I want to talk to you guys about something that I discovered as I was putting these pages together. We are going to have 4 different page styles, but we're going to have 8 because we're going to do each one twice on the other side, okay? So I wanted to talk to you about something. So on this side here, we have our, like, the pocket that is on both sides of every one of our little tag pages. Measures 6.5 inches wide by 7.25 tall, because this section here, from here to here, is 5.5. But what I discovered as I was putting it together is that on the back side of the book, so not the front, but the back side of our pages, when I did this 6.5 and I scored at 1/2 inch on both sides, it fit, but it was really tight up against my score line here. So with the fronts of all of mine, I went ahead and I did 6.5 and I scored at 1/2 inch. And on any of the pieces that were also going the same width, I still did that 6.5 and then I scored on both sides. But what I did on the backs of them, which is going to differ a little bit, whenever I was putting it on the back and I knew it wasn't going on the front of the page. So what I mean by the back is that our page is going to go into the album like this. So this is the back. So what I did is, instead of cutting it, let me get one of my pieces here that goes wide. Instead of cutting it at 6.5, what I did is I actually just did 6 3/8, but not even, like, just below. When you're cutting it in your when you're cutting it in your cutter, so this is my Caterpillar Pro. So instead of cutting it right at 6.5 here, so right at this 6.5 inch mark, I just went like just below it, like this line here. So just take your paper and instead of going all the way to 6.5, just slightly bring it back and cut it just slightly shorter than 6.5, like not even 1/8 of an inch, like a 1/16 of an inch. That's the best way I know how to explain it. But on the front, whenever you're cutting for the front, you still cut it at the full 6.5 and do your scoring. Just for the backs, I would suggest with anything that's going with any of the 6.5 inch measurements, just do slightly below 6.5, okay? So that is what I wanted to tell you guys about there. I mean, depending on what kind of cardstock you use, this 6.5 might still work. Just with this cardstock, this is the Michaels, the Recollections brand. It is definitely very thick, so I feel like it takes up a little bit more room. So you can even do a test run. You can cut your 6.5 inch and see how it works on your pages. And if it works, great, but otherwise just cut it slightly below for all the backs of the pages, okay? So let's get back to business here. So these are the 4 layouts we're gonna do. And I've already done the fronts of all of them. So we're gonna work on the backs, but you're gonna use the same technique to do the fronts, okay? You're just gonna repeat every page twice instead of once. So we have a triple pocket. So this one's pretty simple. So this is on top of the pocket we've already done. So this pocket here. And then, because remember, each one of our pages has the large pocket on the front and the back. And then we have a diagonal pocket. So it's a double diagonal. So we're going to be able to have a tag in here and one in here. Okay. And then on this one, we have, again, the big top pockets. We have a pocket here behind this flap as well. So that's a really cute design. I really like that one. And then here we have like a side pocket and a pocket down here. So we have the deep pocket going back here. Then you have a little shorter pocket here. And then you have a side pocket in here. Okay. So I've called them page style A, B, C, and D, and that is how the cut list is going to be down below, just to make it really easy for you. So when you're making your book, you're going to want to cut 2 of everything that I'm showing you, because your book, you're going to repeat each layout twice, just like I am here, just I've already done the layouts once, okay? So we're going to be working on the backs of all of these. So I have adjusted all of the backs with that just slightly shorter than 6.5, which is actually only, I think, 3 pieces that I had to adjust. And you adjust your large pocket as well to be just below that 6.5 when you're cutting, okay? That's just on the backs. All right, so I am going to get started. So let's start with our page style A, which is the double pockets. So just make sure that when you're doing it, unless you want that look, you might want the look of having the same style on the front and back, but I don't. So I'm going to make sure not to put my triple pocket on the back of my triple pocket unless you want to. That's completely fine. I am going to try to pair the less bulky ones with the more bulky ones. So like this is a pretty bulky one here. With the flap. So on the back of this one, I think I'll do my triple pocket. So for that, which is page style A, you're going to need 2 pieces of cardstock, one that measures 6.5 by 5 3/4, and then on the 6.5 inch side. But remember, this is adjusted to be just slightly below 6.5, like a 1/16 of an inch when you cut it. Okay. So you're going to score it 1/2 inch and 1/2 inch, and then 1/2 inch across the bottom. And this is only for the back of the pages that we adjust the measurement with that 1/16 of an inch less when we're doing our 6.5 inch measurements. Okay. So this pocket is going to go right here on top of the large pocket we've already done. I've pre-done all of the large pockets on all of our pages. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to cut up here, down here where the scoring has created that square. So we scored it 1/2 inch on both sides and then 1/2 inch across the bottom. So 1/2 inch on the 6.5 inch side on both sides, and then 5 3/4 on the 5 3/4 side we scored it 1/2 inch across the bottom. Okay, so I've cut out both of those little squares. Now we're just going to do our burnishing, just like this. Get them nice and tight. All right, so we're just going to put a little bit of our glue right along the bottom here, and you can definitely use tape for this, but I just find it pretty easy to put together with the glue. So I'm going to just kind of put it to its side, and I'm going to put it right on top of this pocket all the way at the bottom, making sure to line it up to the outer edge, not the inner edge. So you want to line up your pocket so it's flush with the front of the page. And then give that a good burnish down. Just like so. And then we can lay it back and put glue on the flaps. And then bring that up. Just like so. Give it a good burnish. All right, and now we'll do our smaller pocket that's going to go on top of this. So this one measures 3 3/4 by 6.5, and we're going to score it 1/2 inch on both sides of the 6.5 inch side. Again, doing that slight adjustment with the 6.5 measurement. And then on the 3 3/4 inch side, you're going to score it 1/2 inch. And then again, we're just going to cut across those corners down here and do our burnishing. Just like so. And again, just put glue on the bottom first, and that is going to go directly on top of pockets that we previously did. Just like so. You bring in this side to make sure it's lined up. That's why I love using the glue, because I can get it on there and then adjust it as I need to. And then put some glue on this one. You can also add your glue all at the same time, but I just find it's way too much of a mad dash to get it all aligned when I do that. And burnish that down. Just like so. All right, and then that is page style A. So that is one done. So again, you're going to repeat that twice wherever you want throughout the book. All right, now let's do page style B, and I'm doing it on the back of this one with the side pocket and the top pocket here, but you can do it on whichever page you want. So for this one, 6.5 by 7. But again, remember that slight adjustment when you're cutting. And then on all 4 sides, you're going to score it 1/2 inch. So put it in, score, 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 and score on all 4 sides. Then we are going to grab our paper trimmer, And what I'm basically gonna do is put my trimmer in and cut diagonally all the way across here, okay? So put it in, align the two corners, any two corners, it doesn't matter which ones. And we cut across, so you get two pieces like this. And then you can go ahead and burnish them all 4 of your little flaps. Of your little diagonal pockets, you're going to burnish your lines down like this. Okay, so you're going to basically burnish them opposite ways. So we're burnishing these 2 on this pocket down, and on this one we're going to lift it up and burnish the opposite way of what we did the other one. Okay, so like these ones we burnish down, so with our score lines we burnish them down, but then you're just going to take the other ones and burnish them the opposite way. We're going to just add these pockets to our large pocket here. Okay, so all we're going to do is whichever side you want to do first. I'm going to do this one first. You fold it over the side like this, and you trim off this excess. And then you fold this flap down and trim off that one. And then with this one down here, I just go in at an angle and at an angle, making sure not to go past that V. And then when you fold them in, they can line up like this, that's fine, but I think I want to take a little bit more bulk off so that they're not actually touching like this. Okay, so this one is going to go down here in this corner, and then the one that we burnished our flaps the opposite direction will go in this corner. So again, just fold it over, cut off that excess, and this one as well, and then down here cut in at an angle and in at an angle, and then fold it and see if they're overlapping, which they're not, so that's perfect. I'm going to take and glue down this outside edge here first. So I'm going to get some of my glue on there, just like so, and glue it to the outside edge on this side, all the way to the outside. And make sure we're not going past the bottom. Just like so. And then you can open it up and burnish it. And then we will glue down this side as well, or the bottom, sorry. Just like so. And then just bring it over and down. And give that a good burnish. All right, and then with the other one, all that we're gonna do is glue it right on top of this one. So what I like to do first is glue down my bottom. So let's get a glue on here, on our little bottom flap, and it's going to get glued right on top of this pocket here, just the bottom part. Get it nice and lined up, just like so. And make sure it's straight up here so you can get right along that corner. And then you can open it up, give that a good burnish. All right, and now we will simply glue down this flap along this edge. and just lay it down, kind of guide it, make sure it goes where it's supposed to go along there. And burnish it down. All right, so that is 2 of our page styles completed. Okay, so next we're going to work on page style C, and I'm going to put mine on the back of the diagonal pocket because it's pretty flat, and this one's a little bit bulkier. So what we're going to do first is a belly band that's going to go right in the center here. So the belly band measures 7 3/4 by 4 1/4, and on the 7 3/4 side, you're going to score it 1/2 inch on both sides. And then we're just going to burnish these flaps down. And then that is going to go right in the center here on this page. So I'm going to get my glue on here. All right, and I'm going to line it up with the top of my pocket, centered, just like that. And then press it down and give it a burnish. And then we'll put glue on this bottom one here, just like so, and glue that down. Give it a good burnish. All right, and then on top of the belly band, we're going to put a pocket, and our pocket measures 5 3/4, or our pocket measures 5 1/4 by 6 3/4, and on the 5 1/4 side, you're going to score it 1/2 inch on both sides, and then on the 6 3/4 side, you're just going to score it 1/2 inch across the bottom, and then we're just going to cut diagonally across there, again just taking the bulk out with those corners. And I am going to put my glue just on the bottom flap, just how I like to do all of my pockets, and it's going to go right at the bottom, right on top of my belly band. Okay, so just like this. Make sure it lines up all the way up. Just like so. All right, and now we're going to do glue on our flaps, both sides. And bring that up. Just like so. Okay. And give that a good burnish. Okay guys, my phone ran out of storage, so it didn't record this little flat piece here, but all of this is 4 1/4 by 6 3/4. And on the 6 3/4 inch side, I scored it at 1/2 inch. So it had the little 1/2 inch flap, and then I just attached this flap right to the top of this pocket here. So that's all that is. Okay, so for page style D, as you can see, I already had it attached, but my phone decided to stop recording. So I took it off so I could show you guys how to attach it. You need a piece that measures 4 1/2 by 7 3/4, and on the 7 3/4 inch side, you're going to score it 1/2 inch on both sides. And then on the 4 1/2 inch side, you're just going to score it 1/2 inch on one side. And then we will fold and burnish our flaps, and then cut out the corners like we always do. Just cut diagonally across. And then I'm just going to add glue to this flap first. I'm not sure what's going on with my phone, but it's definitely saying I need more storage. Maybe it's time for a phone upgrade. All right, and then I'm just going to attach it right along this edge here. So at the back of the pocket, kind of along the back. And you can fold in your sides to make sure you're getting it in the right position. It's going to go all the way top to bottom. And burnish that down really well. And then we will get our glue on these little flaps here. Our little side flaps. And then we'll just bring that down and burnish that on both sides. All right, now on top of this pocket, we have another smaller pocket. So this measures 3 3/4 by 5. And on the 5-inch side, you're going to score it 1/2 inch on both sides. And on the 3 3/4 side, you're going to score it 1/2 inch. And then just cut your little diagonal lines. Diagonal, just to cut the corners out. And we will fold these in and burnish them. And then again, I'm just going to add glue along the bottom. Just like so. Burnish that. And then we will add our glue to the side flaps. On both sides. And then just lay that down and burnish. Just like so. So that is all of our page styles done. So again, you're going to go ahead and repeat all 4 page styles on the other side, whichever one you haven't done, whichever side. And then we will attach them into the book. So yeah, so go ahead and repeat all your page styles on the other side that you haven't done yet. Okay, so now let's go ahead and attach our pages into the book. So on all of my little 1/2 inch flaps back here, I've attached a piece of score tape. So this is your first score line, and attach your piece of score tape. So mine are going to go with, the front is going to have the flap with the pocket, and then the back of that one is the triple pocket. And then we're going to have the side pocket with this pocket here, and then the back of that one is the diagonal. And then I have the triple pocket on the front, and then the stacked on the back, or sorry, the side pocket with the extra pocket. Then we have the diagonal with the flap on the back. Okay, so that's how mine are going to go in. So I'm going to lay them in a pile like this here, so I can just grab the one I need. The first one I'm going to attach is going to be this one here with the diagonal pocket, and I'm just going to line it up with the back of the book, and the edge of this little flap is going to line up not right on top of where our book closes there, but like right alongside it. So I'm just going to remove a little bit of my backing, and I'm going to line it up. And our pages are, well, the spine piece here, this piece is the same, is 7 1/4, just like this. So it should line up in there perfectly. All right, so just get it placed alongside there and remove a tiny bit of your backing so you can stick it down, and then remove the rest of your backing. and burnish that down. So you want it to be running like right alongside this, line here, but not on top of it. All right, and now we're going to attach our next page. So again, just remove a little bit of the backing and tuck in any extra tape. And then this piece is pretty easy because it just gets butted up against the previous piece. I'm gonna remove the bottom a bit. I think that might make it easier for me. And all right, once you have it lined up, you can go ahead and remove the rest of your backing there. And press that one down. And I'm gonna attach the other two the same way. Okay, so I've got all the pages attached inside. So again, we have the flap with the pocket here, and then the triple pocket on the back. And then here we have the side pocket and the front pockets. And then the diagonal pockets there, and then the triple pockets. And again, the side pocket and the little pocket here, the diagonal pocket, and then the flat pocket again at the back. Okay guys, for the front inside cover and the back inside cover, they're going to be the same, and they're just going to have this little flap that comes out to the side with a magnetic closure. I didn't want to do anything very bulky on these back front inside covers because our book has a lot of substance to it, and I didn't want there to be like something big on these on the inside covers because I didn't want it to get any bulkier. So what we're gonna do is I've already done the back here. So I've just added the flap to the back here with the magnetic closure. So I'm gonna show you how to do that on the front. So what I've done is I have a piece of my, again, my heavyweight, my 110-pound cardstock that measures 6 by 5.5, so 6 inches wide by 5.5 tall. And on the 6-inch side, you're going to score it 1/2 inch. And I've just attached my tape on here, and it's just going to go right here on our inside front cover. So I'm just peeling back a bit of the tape and just attaching it. It doesn't have to be perfectly centered top or bottom. That doesn't really bother me. And it's going to go right along the edge. And then we're just going to remove the rest of our backing and just let that fall where it wants. And then give it a press down. So for inside here, we're going to attach our magnet first. So what I've got here is 2 just fairly small magnets. These are not the big basic gray ones I use because we don't need them for this. So all we're going to do is get some tape, and I am going to put my magnet on the flap here where I want it. So I probably want it right about there. And I'm going to put a piece of tape over top of it. And then I'm going to grab another piece of tape and lay it upside down on my magnet. You could also use glue dots for this. So just put glue dots on the back of the magnets, but I don't have any. So I've got my tape upside down on top of my other magnet. Then I'm going to grab my other magnet and just let it fall and kind of just attach where it wants to, okay? Just let it snap in place, and then you'll know that they're going the right direction. And just close it over and press that tape down, and then you can open it and give the tape another nice press, and that closes that. So while we're on the subject of magnets, I also did add a magnet to this flap here. So the flap that's on top of the pocket in one of our signatures. So I just added a magnet. If you have these kinds of magnets where there's no adhesive, you can attach one the same way. I did use the basic gray ones here. Although I think these smaller ones would have worked there as well. I did use the basic gray ones to close that up. And then the same with the other signature that's also has the flap, okay? All right, so now for matting all of these like tag pieces, I did want to talk to you guys about that before I finish the tutorial. So for the front inside cover and the back inside cover, and then the front and back of the album, you're going to need pieces that measure 8 1/4 tall by 6 1/4 wide, okay? So then all you're going to do to get these like tag tops is, we know that we measured an inch in from the side and the top here to get our little angle cut here. So you're going to do the exact same measurement for your layers. So even if you wanted to put another layer on top of this layer, you could do the exact same thing. You just cut it down your 1/4 inch on the top and bottom, or the sides, whatever. And then you would just, again, just cut the inch. You don't need to bring it in at all because you're bringing the size of your paper down, okay? So like I said, I cut this at 6 1/4 wide by 8 1/4 tall. Then all I did with my ruler is I took and I measured down from this side an inch and in from this side an inch, and I made my little tick marks. I don't know if you can quite see them, but they are there. And I did the same thing on this side, an inch in from this side and an inch down from the top. And then once you've got your little 1-inch tick marks made, all you need to do is grab your scissor and cut from this tick mark across to this tick mark. Again, you can use your cutter, like your paper cutter if you feel more comfortable. You could use a craft knife and a metal ruler, whatever you'd like to do. I am just going to use my scissor here and just cut across. And then I will do the same thing on this side, just aligning both of those tick marks. And then I'll show you here on the front. That is how it layers in, and it just layers in perfectly. Okay, guys, so that's all you need to do. I am a little unsure of which one of these I want to put on the front and which ones I want to put on the inside. So I love both of these prints. This is probably my favorite print in this collection, but I don't know that I want it on the front, okay? Now for these in here, it's the exact same thing. So all you need to do is this is I think 1.5 inches here, this space. I just cut mine to 3 inches tall by 5 1/4 wide. And then all I did was the exact same thing. I measured in an inch from the side and an inch down, inch from the side and an inch down. And then we're just going to cut across just like so. And then the same thing. And then just cut down, and then that's going to go in here, and it's just going to mat beautifully right into there. And then for all of these top inserts, all I've done is in each one I have put a 4 1/4 by 6 1/4 inch mat, like insert. So once I have this glued in, I'm going to mat this with the lightweight, so the 65-pound weight white cardstock on both sides. And there's just going to be one of them in each one of our large top pockets, okay? You can do a larger mat. This is just what I wanted because 6 1/4 or 4 by 6 photos are really common. So that's what I wanted is common. You could do 2, but again, I'm trying to cut down on the bulk in here. So I'm just doing 1 insert in each pocket at the top. All right, so the only other thing we need to talk about for matting is these diagonal pockets. So you can see here, I've already matted these pages that are the repeat of the other layouts. All you're gonna do for that is just measure your space that you have to mat, and then just bring it down by 1/4 inch on both sides. And then for spaces like this, just measure how far in it goes over here, and then you only have to do like 1/2 inch to 1 inch beyond that, just so that you can slip it in. You don't need to put the full size in, because again, that is just a waste of cardstock. And then for all these mats, all I did was I used my scraps. Everything that I cut away from the like the pages and our layouts, that's what I used for my mats and layers. Like that is literally, I did that. I just added some cardstock or some of our pretty pattern paper, and that's it. Okay, so let's talk about this diagonal pocket. So for that, you're going to need a piece that measures 5 3/4 tall. So 5 3/4 tall by 5 1/4 wide. And then all we're gonna do is for this, we are gonna use the paper trimmer. So all you're gonna do is I'm just gonna get my book on the side here. Take your paper trimmer and you're gonna take your page so that the 5 1/4 side is at the top, like length or this way, and put it in. And we're just gonna cut diagonally across here, okay? So just put it in and cut from corner to corner diagonally. Just like this, so you get 2 pieces that are just like this. And then all we're gonna do is take and glue one here, right in there like this. And then the other one is gonna get glued right in there like this. So I like the opposing prints. So I like that they're different colors. If you want them to be the same color or the same print, you're gonna have to do you're gonna have to cut 2 that are 5 1/4 by 5 3/4 and do the diagonal, and then you'll be able to get the prints on both sides. But I like the opposing, I like the different prints. And then I'm just gonna glue these down right here. Yeah, and then other than that, you just add your mats, you add your layers, and you're done. This is a super simple, fast book. I'm gonna go ahead and glue everything down. And then for the closure, just really quick, I have some seam binding here and I've already put it on the back. So all I did is I did a piece of tape and I attached my seam binding, and then I did my layer of pattern paper over top. And for the front here, all we're gonna do is put a piece of tape again. So kind of look where you have the other one and kind of try to line it up. It doesn't have to be perfectly lined up. And then just rip it off, remove the backing, and then make sure that your ribbon is straight. So if you start from the top, you will do this on the back. This is the crinkled seam binding, so it's a little bit harder to get straight. And then just attach it here onto the tape, just like this. And then you will cut off your excess and then take and just cut this in half. And then you'll tie it into your pretty bow for your closure. Okay, so I've decided that I want this like scripty print on the front. So I'm just gonna take my Fabri-Tac glue and glue it down to the front. Just like so. And I'm just gonna glue it right there, making sure it's nice and even all the way around. I have my little 1/8 of an inch border all the way around, just like so. And then on the inside here, I will use the floral print. So before I glue that down, I'm going to take off the backing of my tape and then just glue that right on there. So just right centered in there again, making sure I get my nice even border all the way around, just like so. And then because I want this to look like a true tag, I am gonna use my my crocodile here, and I'm gonna make a hole in the top here. And I am just gonna totally wing it. I'm going to try to center it as best as I can. So that looks, I'm not going in too far though, because I want, you know, I'm going to put a whole layout on the front here, so I don't want to go too far in to disturb that. So that looks about good to me right there. So I've got my hole, and now I'm going to add a white eyelet. We're going to set a white eyelet in there. So I just have to find one of my white eyelets. And I'm not going to do this on the back, just on the front. and just put that right in there. And then I'm going to use the top of my crocodile just to set it quick. Just like that. And then I haven't decided yet if I want to use this pink seam binding to run through there, or if I want to use more of the white. So you guys will see that in the walkthrough. I hope you've enjoyed this tutorial. I absolutely love doing it for you. And if you haven't yet, please like and subscribe. I would really appreciate that. I also love your guys' comments. I love to see what you think of the projects. So yeah, so like and subscribe if you haven't yet, and I will see you guys in the walkthrough. Bye-bye.